Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Erin. She is back home in Missoula, and we're going to talk about how her race at Canyons 100K went. So, Erin, you had seventh female in
Mhm.
about 10:52. I know we talked about you going for that golden ticket. So, how did that kind of just by the numbers kind of fall into your goals or compared to your goals?
Yeah, I definitely knew Golden Ticket would be I don't know, I don't want to say like a long shot, but like it would require a really, really good day. I think um yeah, anyone that was going to get one was going to have a really good day, and I knew that would be required for me as well. And unfortunately, it wasn't a really, really good day. I mean, it was a challenging day. There were some positives as well, but yeah, I was still happy to like hang on to top 10. I got like a delayed qualification for the 2024 UTMB finals. So it was nice that I was like able to hold on to that and like still have something to run for, so that like I did qualify for CCC, and it was definitely motivating to like have that out there after like my A goals were like out the window.
Yeah, would you call that CCC kind of the B goal?
Yeah, for sure. Which is funny because like that race itself is like such not a B goal. Like that will be a very much obviously an A race, but in terms of like what it meant for this weekend's race, that was the beagle, I would say. So yeah, still got that on a day that was not what I was hoping for. So yeah, it's all right.
Yeah. And you came out of a long rebuild. This was your first race back. It was probably a huge tester of kind of where you compare to everybody else, where you compare to yourself, where your fitness is at. How did you feel about that, during and after the race?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always disappointing to not finish where you would like to, and it's sometimes it is kind of like a tough look at like, okay, like here's a more realistic look at where I'm at, because I haven't raced yet this year. I haven't gotten to test myself. I was hoping to run Chuckanut and then like maybe Black Canyon, but or other order, but yeah, neither of those were able to happen. And so yeah, I had less of an idea going in, and yeah, I think there's a lot missing for my training still. I think I'm not where I would like to be quite yet, like fitness wise, as well as just I think like the pounding, especially the vert, just like isn't really in my legs yet. Like that was a big problem for me on Saturday. Is like my quads were just like so done way too early. Yeah, so that's just like training mistakes or training that's not there yet. I knew there was a risk of that, and so yeah, it's okay. I think that's something I can build on, and from what I can tell so far, I think I'm coming out of this healthy, and so I'm excited to just like try to get that training in for next time and be more ready to go.
And do you think that's a lot of that's just because you're still in the rebuild or because you're coming out of winter, or you just think you maybe were trying to be conservative to come out healthy?
Yeah. So I feel like really started the rebuild in like I think like October-ish, and I was coming off this like pretty bad Achilles thing, and that took a really long time to kind of come out of. So a lot of time like low mileage, running very little, running only flat. And then kind of since I feel like more that like mid-December, January, I've been training more normally, but it's still been lower volume, lower vert. And I've had just like a lot of ups and downs with both that Achilles and then my knee as well. And so it's meant having to back off many times like throughout this build and kind of adjust things. And so I think, yeah, it's just because I've been managing some injury stuff and returning slowly and being really, really cautious because I have missed seasons and missed time, and I didn't want to do that. Um, so yeah, better to actually show up to the line and like hopefully come out of it healthy so far. I can, as much as I can tell, and not have the race I wanted, than like, not get there at all. So, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So let's talk about the race itself. You had said you kind of wanted to run by effort, kind of run your own race, maybe start turning on at Forest Hill. By, kind of watching you throughout the day and looking at the numbers, it seemed like you kind of did that. You kind of stayed in a kind of chill, even keeled pace up until maybe Michigan Bluff, Forest Hill, and then you started moving up So by, as I said, by the numbers, the execution, looks on point, but it sounds like maybe you didn't feel like you had what you needed once you started getting like enough of the downhill in your legs.
Yeah. I definitely, yeah, I started out like about how I wanted to, and I think I was in that kind of like back of the top 10 area, which is like about where I thought I should
Um,
be to run like a smart conservative race early. And I didn't feel quite as good as I would have liked. I think some of that was I was a little surprised by like some of the like more steepness and technicality of those early trails. Not to say that they're anything crazy, but I just like wasn't expecting it. So I think this course gets talked about as if it's like so fast and like these like buttery California trails. And I think, I don't know, I don't think that's totally accurate. But I'm sure the Europeans watching, like, are like, the Europeans out here are like, what are you talking about? Like, this is so easy. But, anyways, so I think that was some of it. I didn't feel quite as good as I would have liked, but I think as I started to get closer to like Michigan Bluff, like even like coming through Forest Hill, I felt good. I felt like pretty good climbing for the most part. And yeah, like through Forest Hill felt really good and like was moving well coming out of there and was like really excited to try and move up. I think I was kind of like, yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to like get into that like podium position, but like I'm definitely going to be able to get some women. Like I'm like feeling good. And like my nutrition went like super well. So that was super exciting. Um, but yeah, like by like mile 40, I think like it changed really quickly in like 10 miles. Like my legs were just like so toasted. Like my quads like had nothing. And I was like climbing okay because that's like less quad and like more stuff. And like aerobically I was okay, but like I would be like, okay, come on. And like my legs couldn't go any faster. So it was like kind of sad and humbling. It was like, man, like pretty much same pace on downhills as uphills. Like this is so stupid.
yeah, those
So
like
yeah.
downhill workouts and like repetition really do make a difference, and you don't quite realize it until you've had enough downhill to see whether your legs hold up.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where like I know everyone kind of says this, but I think it's really true. Like you can't like train that any other way, right? Like you can't like
Yeah.
do gym work and like these things. Like you really just have to like run downhill a bunch of times to like get that adaptation. And I just like wasn't able to do that. Um, and yeah, like I said, like I kind of knew that like I hadn't quite gotten what I needed in terms of downhill training and was just kind of like, I've never had this issue before. My legs have always been really strong at the end of races and I've been able to really, really go if I'm having a decent day. And so I was just kind of like hoping that, I was less prone to this problem than other people or like that I would be able to handle it. And it just like didn't happen.
Yeah. That's understandable. Yeah. And you said your nutrition went really well. You executed what you want. Did you ever feel like your stomach was turning or like you needed to grab kind of those you were mentioning like Rice Krispies and fun snacks that your crew might have? Or did you just stick to it and stay on top of it?
No, I really just stuck to it. I feel like my stomach felt like a little weird from like 15 to 20 or so, like descending down before you head up to Michigan Bluff. But I think it was just like, I don't know, it's just like one of those things. I think it was just early start, like whatever. And it was super minor. Yeah. And then it like, by the end, like the rest of the race, my stomach felt really good, relatively speaking, and I just used all the stuff I had planned on. And yeah, I think I need to go through, I know I ate everything that I packed. I also took a little longer than I expected, but I had some extra stuff. So I need to like go through my notes on that. But I really do think I was very close to my 250 calorie per hour goal, which is like, I know there's people out there that's like 350 plus. And so like, but for me, that was pretty good. So I'm happy with that. And like, that's nice to know going forward. Like, okay, that's one thing I maybe don't need to tinker with as much.
Yeah. Or at least you have that box checked and maybe you can even build upon it when you're ready for like that next, caloric or carb intake step.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I heard you were asking about Adam a lot throughout the day. So tell me about kind of mentally where you were within your own race, also with thinking about him and getting back to racing at the same time. Do you guys ever discuss, doing the same races or doing different races so that you're not stressed about each other?
Yeah. This was really the first really big race we've done at the same time. I think back in 2020 or 2021, we did the Moab Trail Marathon the same year. Um, but that was like very early, and it was like, especially for me, like very early trail racing. And so, yeah, this was the first really, really big one we've done at the same time. And honestly, it was really cool. Like, I think, I was asking about him because I care, and I also like, wanted to know how he was doing. And I think like even when I kind of heard, because they didn't really tell me like quite how tough it was for him out there. And I think a lot of that came after the final aid station too. So maybe they didn't know for a while, but yeah, I think they were like, he's like having a tough day, but he's like, he's doing his best. He's sticking it out. Like and then obviously like I know how tough he is and the competitor he is. So I knew he would do that no matter what. And it was, I think, motivating for me to have heard that and be like, cause I remember telling myself out there in those last 20 miles and I was hurting really bad. I was like, Adam is giving it everything he has, like no matter where he is. And like, you need to do the same. Like if he can tough it out like that, like you need to as well. So I think for me, it was kind of a positive to have him out there as well.
Awesome. That's not something you maybe typically hear. Typically, you hear maybe that it's stressful and hard because you want to focus on the other person, but you also want to focus on yourself. But then on the recovery side, now you both are probably a bit wrecked and not really able to help each other, I would guess.
He's definitely been helping me more than I've been able to help him. I think like, yeah, because sometimes like I think when things like go so south for you and it's like such a bad day, you like can't push in the race. And so you actually almost recover a little bit quicker. And so I think he had some of that where like he wasn't able to trash his body to a certain level because his body just like it wouldn't give him that on the day. And um I developed some pretty heinous blisters
Oh
and
no, yes, I did. Yeah, I
I've been
saw
like
you come into the finish line and you were like, blisters, blisters.
yeah. And so I've been like hobbling around pretty good with those still. And so yeah, he's been like helping me out a little bit. I'm hoping those heal up because I would really like to get back to running by the end of this week. But I'm gonna wait and see. I mean, better to like let the feet heal and not have this be like a thing I'm dealing with forever. So
Yeah, so I guess on that respect, how is your recovery going? What does it look like moving forward? Blisters, obviously, they need to pop and they need to heal and make your feet really tender to use in the meantime. But in terms of your maybe legs and training,
yeah, yeah. My quads are like pretty destroyed still too. But they're improving day by day. And then yeah, my like stuff I've been kind of worried about, like my Achilles and knee feel pretty good so far, which is good. Yeah, that's like the soreness is fine. Blisters will get better. I just really wanted to come out healthy. I've come out of, oh my God, like 75% of these things, like just straight up injured. And so I was like, please no. Um, but yeah, so I'll take as much time as my feet need. I think like if I can, because biking isn't like the pounding on your feet, if I can get back to that earlier, I'll definitely spend some time cycling. And that's a big part of my training all the time. And I love riding and I have a lot of friends who ride. So, yeah, hopefully I'll be mountain biking and gravel biking at least by like the end of this week if I'm not running yet. Um, yeah, I mean, goal is to be able to run by like Friday through Sunday sometime, but TBD. And yeah, I'm signed up for Broken Arrow 46K. And so I'm just going to see how the recovery goes, like how my body's feeling, if it makes sense to go race there. But yeah, we'll see.
I like Broken Arrow usually as like a good kickoff to like mountain running season because it does kind of get you to force that vert and downhill and all those things you need that power hiking into your training and kind of get your head into that place moving into for you what would be CCC, I assume.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And I think that'll be really good for me getting, that vert training in before that. And then I just haven't run a ton of really competitive shorter races. And so I think those are good for me too, to kind of have to like work at that higher intensity and like challenge myself to like run faster on like technical sections and things like that. So yeah.
And then so we talked about lessons learned in terms of that more vert, that more downhill. Anything else that you took out of it that you're really pleased with that you want to work on?
Um, I was pretty like happy with how I like kind of tried to stay in it and like battle mentally. I think it can be really easy to like shut down in some of those moments, but yeah, I think I've been working on that piece a lot because I had a tough time dealing with injury stuff and trying to race over in Europe last summer and just like knew that I really needed to work on that and that I wasn't very in control of my emotions when I was over there, like pre-race and during the race. And so, yeah, that's something like I've worked on. And so I was happy with like, that aspect, for the most part. There's always like things you can improve, but yeah, that was good. Yeah, I don't know. I think mostly I'm just like, all right, I gotta just like be more ready. Like that's kind of the biggest takeaway for me is like, okay, not there yet. Like let's keep moving forward, but doing more in training. I'm enjoying it a ton. I love training. I want to do more and more and more. So like that feels exciting from to a degree. I just got to make sure I can stay healthy to do the work required.
Yeah, I think you're in a great place, like both mentally and physically, to head into summer training and summer races. And, being excited is one of the biggest pieces sometimes.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I hope so. And man, I've spent like so many years like running my first race and sitting out for a month or two and trying to get there in time for a late summer race. And so yeah, one of the biggest goals for this year was just like to be racing from April until whenever I decide the season ends in the fall. And so I'm hoping that like I'll be on a good track to be able to do that.
And then two more pieces. We talked about gear a little bit before. How did the typical chafing issues go? You mentioned blisters. Did you feel like that was a sock, a shoe, a kind of muddy course thing? Um, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, the only like real obviously gear issue for me was like the blisters. Yeah, it's interesting, there was, I guess, a bunch of factors. A couple of which, one being like I kind of had this like pre-existing, not like blister, but like blister I'd had a few weeks ago from like some insoles I tested out that was like really bad, but then had like mostly healed. And it's like that skin is like so new. And so I think just like I got a wet course and like a little bit too much slippage in the shoes, and all of a sudden it's like totally a disaster. And then on my other side, I've got a terrible blister too. And I had made some modifications to my shoes, like for my Achilles, and that had worked really well in training. And I think my Achilles was maybe at the point where I didn't need to do that, but I was nervous about it.
mm,
I think understandably so for some reasons, but yeah, I think that caused some issues as well.
gotcha.
So yeah, I think it was those like kind of pre-existing things. And then just like, I mentioned I was running in prototypes. And I just think like I hadn't probably done enough miles in those to send it in a 100K race in the shoes. I think it's going to be a really good prototype. I still believe that. But I just think like, based on how many miles I had put in them lately, it probably just like wasn't the right choice for the race. And I think that, as well as like, I know a lot of people, kind of talk about like, yeah, like these prototype trail shoes are like so good on your like Sonoma, your Javelina, like those kind of things. And like when
Okay.
it gets more technical, like you see like people tend to like maybe go away from those type of shoes sometimes. And like when they go race these UTMB races in Europe. And so I think, maybe had I known how like rocky and steeper the downhills were early, I might have like made a different decision, but, I don't know. Hindsight's 2020. It's okay. You make mistakes, you learn. Yeah. So
Yeah. And then I'm guessing you guys didn't get your new kits in time. We were excited to kind of see the green you were talking about.
no, we did. Yeah. Yeah. They gave
Oh,
us like
you did.
new, yeah. Yeah. I
Okay.
got those and I showed up. I like, yeah, I wasn't expecting that. They're like, we have new stuff for you. I was like, oh, sweet. So yeah, that was cool. I raced in other shorts, just cause I like
Okay.
tend to chafe really bad. So I wore in like a little longer spandex, which, was good.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, the kits are cool. And I'll definitely train in the shorts. They're really sweet, like green splits. I don't know if I'll race in them, but
Exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's always exciting and fun to look cool. My vest was good. I don't know, it's the same vest I've used. Um, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And then last thing, I know I had talked about with some of the women about kind of, the stacked field and the camaraderie and the ability to run with all these incredible women. It seemed like the women's race kind of played out, that women were running more their own race and spreading out a bit. Did you get a chance to run with anybody? I know that, you probably finished, passing people and close to some people, but did you ever get any of that?
Not much, which is okay. I mean, yeah, I feel like it tends to happen a lot, like people are just like feeling good and bad at different points. And even if you end up like constantly seeing someone, you're like 50 yards behind them for a super long time. But yeah, I think I said a few words to Shea Aquilano out there, and we were near each other for some portions early in the race, and she's awesome. I really, really like her, so that was cool to yeah, I was like, hoping for a really good day for her as a friend and stuff. So
Yeah.
um I think she had a challenging day as well, unfortunately. But yeah, and then there was a woman who finished. I think she was the one who finished sixth. I'm not totally sure, but she was ahead of me, like just ahead of me coming out of Forest Hill. And I don't like know her at all. She recognized me as Adam's girlfriend. um, but I spoke a few words to her as well, and I like don't know her, but I feel like coming out of Forest Hill, I was like so hyped, and I could tell that like both of us were moving really well at that point, and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna like follow this girl, and we're gonna like move up and crush it, and I like felt this camaraderie, even though we like had hardly talked. But then like I feel like I could kind of see her for a long time all day. So I think I would like gain a little bit on the climbs, but then like lose more on the descents and flats.
Mm.
And so we like kind of did this for a long time, but eventually she was out of my sights by the end. Yeah.
Was she in blue and white kind of?
Yeah. She was like blue,
Yeah.
like spandex, and like yeah, totally.
Yeah, I think that was Laura. She's out of the SF Marin crew.
Yeah, that's right. Like she told me her name, but I had never met her
Yeah,
before or anything.
racing.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
But that's good to have that you had somebody to kind of also help motivate you, push you forward towards that kind of secondary top 10 goal and keep your eyes on.
yeah, totally. Yeah, that was really good. Like I could see her for a long time, and then there was a guy who was like right near her for a really long time too. And so I feel like the three of us were kind of like all in each other's vision for a while. Um, yeah, and eventually I was just like slow down the hills to keep up. But yeah, it was like a good motivator. Like I think especially like on that really sucky climb that everyone hates up to Driver's Flat, like I could like see her ahead of me, and I was like, okay, I'm like gaining on her like a tiny bit. Like I'm like trying to like take little walking breaks, but like mostly run. And so anyways, yeah. Yeah, it was a good motivator for sure. And it seemed like she had a pretty good day, I think. I don't really know like how that was for her, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's I think great result for all of you in that kind of top 10. So you felt like maybe you were more running more kind of in no man's land before that, kind of on your own between kind of running near Shay and Laura.
Yeah, and there was like I mean there's definitely like women around. Yeah, but I feel like I never really was running like with anyone. Yeah, which is fine. I don't honestly mind that so much. I think sometimes it allows you to tap into like a little bit of more like how you're feeling and run your pace, and it gives you better vision like on the trail in front of you as well, like sometimes. So yeah, I don't know, not a huge deal. Sometimes I'm like it seems like energy to like talk and like I just want to like be back here zoning out like doing my own thing. So that's fine.
Yeah, there's a balance between like having that like good distraction and being like too distracted and not making sure that you're doing your own effort and pace like you're trying to.
Yeah.
Well, awesome, Erin. I think we've um, covered everything that we talked about. Is there anything else you'd like to say about the race, the recovery, looking at CCC?
Oh no, not too much. Just like thankful for yeah, like my friends and family who are out there supporting. Like this sport is crazy and that it's just like you require so much help. And I think that's, it's hard for a lot of us. And so it's cool to, yeah, have so many people supporting me. And yeah, like the Nike Trail team obviously is awesome. And yeah, I'm excited to just like keep building. And I just hope I can, yeah, be like really, really fit and really ready for CCC as well as a couple races in between now and then. So yeah.
Great. Well, we look forward to kind of watching that build and seeing you have that leg speed at the end of the race because you always just look so strong.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'll try to bring that back. I think this is like my slowest 100 on record at the end of this race.
It's all about staying healthy, though. I think you've got the right frame.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, thanks for chatting with me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for coming back on. Talk to you later.
Yeah, talk to you later. Have a good rest of your week.